guys, Pone here, and today in my hand I have a little treasure map. My girlfriend and I are heading down south to visit her parents for the weekend, and on the way we're gonna visit some Goodwills. I've got a list of Goodwills on this spreadsheet here with directions, and we're gonna do some serious Nerf thrifting. My girlfriend's in the kitchen right now making sandwiches. She also made this spreadsheet for me. I'm a pretty lucky guy. I managed to find the double threat. A girl who can make sandwiches and spreadsheets. Alright guys, let the hunt begin. Alright, so we just hit the Everett Goodwill. Didn't find much. There was a $4 Vigilon. Didn't care about that. There was a couple other things. I'll put a picture up, but it's about 60 miles south of where I live, so I figured we've been driving for an hour now. It's sandwich time. Quick look at the Everett Goodwill we just hit. Alright, so we just left a Value Village. There wasn't much there. There's a Tech 4 and a Tech 6 bow. And a couple other things, but nothing that amazing, so we bailed without getting anything. Over here, I thought this might be novel for those of you that don't live in a state where marijuana is legal. We have marijuana stores, that's Kushmart. They're about as prevalent as Starbucks is now these days. So yeah, in case you were wondering, that's a pot shop. Alright, so we're passing Painfield Airport Road, which is home to Boeing's airplane production facilities. And it's actually, I think by square footage, one of the biggest buildings in the world. Alright, so we're leaving the Goodwill outlet in Everett, and that was a pretty surreal experience. If you ever have a chance to go to a Goodwill outlet, it's not like a Goodwill. There are just bins everywhere, and there are lines that you need to stand behind, and then a person yells out, stand behind the line, and then they yell go, and everybody jumps into the bins and digs around furiously, throwing trash essentially into their cart. It's basically like a Black Friday every 15 minutes, only people are shopping for garbage. So we went from a place that made me want to take a shower upon leaving to probably one of the better, nicer Goodwills I've ever been into. All they had were 5 Mavericks of different varieties. Nothing great. Alright, so we are finished with Everett, and we are leaving with nothing but cherished memories. So we just hit a Value Village. They had nothing. There was another random thrift store called St. Vincent de Paul, which also was terrible. And then because we've been digging through disgusting trash, we had to hit up a Walmart for some Germ-X. Alright, so we just hit up G Asian Foods Market. Maybe other people have this where they live. And we definitely have an Asian food store in our town, but I've never been to an Asian food store that was as big as a regular chain grocery store. And of course we had to get tiramisu soft cupcake. Just hit up a random thrift shop next to a Goodwill called Bella's Voice. Nothing there. And then we hit a Goodwill. We're now in Linwood, Washington. In that Goodwill is just, again, it was Mavericks and Vigilons. Held the door open for a man, and he did say, "Thanks, boss." So that was new. Alright, so we just hit up a Value Village, and I actually made my first 2 purchases. Busby Air Max Extreme 6 for the air tank, and a Barricade for the motors. After our 9th thrift store, I actually purchased a couple of things. Alright, just leaving the Goodwill in Edmonds, Washington. Didn't find anything. There was a Rangemaster, but I didn't really feel like getting it. It didn't seem like it worked anymore, so good riddance. Alright, the next leg of our journey is going to be a little bit longer before we get to the next Goodwill. So I think it's tiramisu soft cupcake time with lattes. Wonderful. Let me just get this open for you so you can take a look at me eating it. Because I know that people eating inside cars is definitely a YouTube staple. Alright. Asian tiramisu cake. Tear this in half. Oh, the tiramisu is kind of hard. It's kind of a hard cream. Alright, the cake is good. It's nice and spongy. It doesn't really taste like tiramisu. I'm not really getting that coffee flavor at all. Anyway, see you at the next Goodwill. Alright, so we've left Edmonds and now we are in North Seattle, just hit a Value Village, and it had quite a bit of stuff. I left the Gear Up Raider because it was pretty busted and it didn't have some of the components that would be necessary. So I got myself a Raven, a Rebel Blaster, and then another cheap barricade for the motors. Alright, so we hit up another Value Village in North Seattle. This one did not have anything though, sadly. Not nearly as good as the last Value Village. Just the typical Maverick. I feel like all of them have at least one Maverick. Alright, so we hit up another Goodwill in North Seattle and I actually came out with some stuff. This is the first Goodwill where I actually got something. So it's all sub $10 retail kind of stuff. I got a $4 strong arm, a $2 35 round mag, and then a $2 triad. Just because I was happy to see some newer Nerf stuff. Alright, so we are definitely in the city now. I just had to parallel park on the side of a very busy street to go into a Goodwill it wasn't a big box for sure. It was just a small entrance in the wall of a block of stores. There wasn't anything there. The hipster density has increased substantially. I saw at least, I don't know, in between walking from the car and the Goodwill, there were 10 dudes with super tight pants and disgusting mustaches and silly hats. So we are for sure in Seattle now. Now, I am not from a rural city at all, but I am not used to this traffic at all. Seattle is not fun to drive in. So we've been sitting here in traffic mostly because everyone in the right lane just merges, and so the left lane really doesn't move even though we planned ahead to get in the correct lane. So the people that didn't plan ahead get ahead anyway. Remember, children, the expression nice guys finish last definitely applies in heavy traffic. Obligatory filming of a sick old Ferrari. You in sweepy mode? Oh, we've been filming for 22 minutes. We just left the biggest Goodwill facility I've ever been inside. What I'm used to, the Goodwill size, if you took that, doubled it, and then crammed two of those together, that is how big this place was. It was absurd. It had 4 aisles of toys, and I still only came out with 1 barricade. It was too bad. So we just hit our last stop in Seattle. It was another Goodwill outlet, and they don't seem to be that great. There's a ton of clothes and a lot of digging, and it's honestly an experience. So even though there was no Nerf, I was happy to have seen the ridiculousness of a Goodwill outlet. We are headed now to Tukwila. It's about 17 miles. Guess we'll see what's going on at the next Goodwill. So on the way to the next Value Village, we entered a jungle of vans and semi-vehicles, trailers. So we're gonna try to make our way back out, but whoa, pretty boxed in here. All right, so we just hit up a Value Village in Tukwila, and I picked up a quick 16, and I was actually taken aback when the guy, without asking, put it in a plastic bag, because where I'm from, plastic bags cost 5 cents, and you are very much encouraged to buy your own reusable bag. So I haven't had anybody just jam it into a bag in forever. So we don't have a Toys R Us where I live. The closest one is about 20 minutes away, and it's a complete garbage dump. So I was super excited. We got to go to a Toys R Us that's nice and clean and has a huge supply of Nerf stuff. But it's either, you know, normal MSRP, so I'm not doing that, or stuff I already have. But it was still great to hug a giant wall of Nerf. Well, we hit up a Goodwill in Tukwila, and that was our last stop of the day. So now we're heading to get some grub from the girlfriend's parents. Guess I will see you tomorrow when we do day 2. Hopefully we'll hit up some better places. We're heading to the wealthier centers tomorrow, so hopefully we can get some good stuff then. If not, it's still been quite a journey. Catch you tomorrow.